be silent so we can hear. All right.
You ready, Tim?
Hello, Ms. Hicks.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, good. Welcome to our interview here at Mexico Beach. We don't have the same background. Looks nice there. I will open up with one question. Well, first, just go on and state your name for us. For the rest
Chappelle Hicks.
Hicks. And have you had any discussions or interviews before this meeting tonight that you're having with people at this table? All right, thank you. I'm going to start off with just, letting you tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience with municipal financing and accounting.
So I was employed with the Illinois Department of Revenue for about 15 and a half years as a revenue auditor. I audited businesses for sales and use tax. I was a field auditor, which meant that I traveled about 90% of the time. My home state is Illinois, so I would travel throughout Illinois and out of state if necessary. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting and business administration with a concentration in finance. I have an MBA with a specialization in human resource management. I think that they all helped me to do the job that I did. I resigned from the Illinois Department of Revenue in May of 2023. I enjoy numbers. I enjoy deconstructing things, which was essentially what I did for audit. I enjoyed meeting new people because, again, I worked in the field, so I would basically audit at the taxpayer's location for alternative work sites. For the last 5 years, I worked remotely, which I thoroughly enjoyed and loved, and decided that that is what I want to do moving forward.
Okay. I'm going to hand the next question over to Mr. Wolf.
Hi, Ms. Hicks. I'm Mr. Wolf. I understand that you've been an auditor for 15 and a half years. And could you tell me a little bit about, other than the auditing side, did you get involved in any of the actual accounting, budgeting, things like that, invoicing, just the daily operation versus auditing?
So I was not involved in daily operations of the companies that I was auditing.
Have
I simply made sure that.
Have you ever worked in that area?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to speak loud so you can hear me. Historically,
Yeah, little roll.
Historically, Mexico Beach has had internal control findings in their annual audit reports. What does internal control mean to you, and what will you implement to further promote transparency and internal controls?
So internal controls to me means that things are operating as they should, that there is efficiency there, that we are accounting for all of our revenues and our expenses. Excuse me, something in my eye. How I would implement that, how I would make sure that internal controls are up to par, so to speak, would just I would start with asking what the processes are that are happening on a day-to-day basis, how things are being accounted for, and, again, I deconstruct. So I would just work backwards, once I'm told, so this is what we do day to day, and this is how we handle that. If it makes sense to me, if it is in line with accounting principles, I would say, okay, If it's not, then I would offer some type of suggestion that I think would help improve efficiency. A lot of times, so that's been a part of my job with the Department of Revenue. We not only make sure that all sales and use tax are being remitted, but we want to make sure that taxpayers were in compliance as well. And so making sure the taxpayers are in compliance entails making sure that they understand what it is that they should be doing if they're not doing it, instructing them on how to do so, and answering any questions or concerns that they have with regard to it.
Have you ever created or managed a property asset program? Probably on the auditing side you've seen it, but an asset management system?
I didn't hear the first part, I'm sorry.
I said, have you ever created or worked with a property asset program?
I have not.
And then the last one for me is experience and process for budget creation and presentation.
I do not have any experience with the Department of Revenue in creating any budgets. I wish I did.
I've seen a lot of them.
I can think of a few places where a few extra dollars could have went.
Okay, how would you measure the success, a financial success of a company or business or government?
I would measure the success of a company based on revenues, of course, and I would also consider what they're expensing. And if that's efficient, I know that oftentimes the path of least resistance is taken. So, I consider myself to be a person that likes to be financially sound. So I would, just make sure that the things that we're spending money on, we're getting our money's worth. And that the services or goods that we're supposed to receive are in line with what we're looking for and that they serve the purposes that they should.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith?
I won't do the best I can.
Okay.
Our software, I talk loud, so I know you can hear me from there. Where you from, Illinois?
I can hear you.
I know you can. I was wanting to know about, are you familiar with our software that we use?
I am not familiar with your software.
Do you know our salary range that we got? Is that fine with you?
I am okay with the salary range.
And do you want this?
I also saw that it was a contract position.
Yes. And do you want this job?
Do I want it?
Yes.
I think I want it. I have a couple questions before I say I want it.
We're not that hard,
Sounds
man.
interesting to me. I'm sorry.
We're not that hard to get along with.
Well, it seemed interesting to me because it did involve some auditing aspects, which I am very familiar with, and just kind of like the foundation of accounting, which I would like to get back to, and also being on the other side, helping, we call them taxpayers, but, helping taxpayers, basically make sure that things are in line and that they are running efficiently and not having to pay the state, the city, the government, anything extra for mistakes that we could have avoided.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks.
You're
Yes, ma'am.
welcome.
Ms. Hamilton?
Ms. Hicks, I'm Linda Hamilton. Would you be able to travel here to Mexico Beach if you needed to for certain meetings or trainings?
I would. I've never been to Mexico Beach.
You would just love it.
I have family in Pembroke Pines. I know that's not very close to where you are, but yeah.
Way south.
Thanks, Adam.
So I've done Pembroke Pines, Orlando, Tampa, Miami. So I'm interested in Mexico Beach.
Wendy, anything?
That's it. Thank you.
Ms. Hicks, from your question, it sounds to me like you have worked in a field of auditing that surrounds P&L, companies with P&Ls. Is that true?
Yes.
Have you ever worked with the government auditing?
Are you speaking of the federal government?
No, I mean like a city government or federal government or, yeah.
Oh, have I worked? Oh, no. My concentration was
All people.
on businesses.
Okay, thank you. I thought.
I don't know.
Okay. We want to thank you for tuning in with us today and
Okay.
talking to us. Do you have any questions for us now?
I do. So again, I saw that it was a contract position, and I didn't see any time frames or days with regard to working. So I was curious about that.
Okay, it is remote, so
Mm-hmm.
I think the expectations are around 20 hours a week.
Okay.
It is contract, considered part-time contract, and you would have to travel here, of course, at the city's expense, probably a couple of times a year during
Okay.
budget and probably mid-year. And our budget runs from October 1st to September 31st. Or whatever the date is, the 30th. Yeah. So any other questions
what-
for us?
Yeah, what would a typical day or a typical week look like in this role?
I can
Yeah.
answer that if you want.
Mr. Baber's got that one covered for us.
So generally, you provide overall support for city staff should we have an issue or a question or a problem related to a budget or an expense or payroll follow-up. It would be kind of random hours. You would be on your own schedule. You would be able to work nights, weekends, holidays, whenever you wanted to get the job done. And we would send you messages when we needed to meet outside of any other special times. So it would be sporadic. I mean, it could be busier during the summer months when we're preparing budget, and in the winter months it could be slower because we're just moving along. But it varies, so it does vary. It would be scheduled.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And how is the weather in Mexico Beach?
Well,
Windy.
Windy.
very windy right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Rainy a few days, windy today and sunny, but, so is that all your questions have we answered all your questions today?
When would you be looking to fill this?
Yes, we are actually looking for this to start immediately, just as soon as possible. Would you be available? Do you
I
have
would
a
be
time
available.
frame? Okay. All
I would
right.
be available.
Okay.
That is all my questions. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak with you.
Well, thank you for coming and speaking with us, and we appreciate it, and I hope you have a great evening.
You too.
Thank
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye. I think we've got some good candidates here. Y'all want to give y'all's written input?
I'm ready to do it right now.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I am.
Okay. Again, this position is very, very important position for us as a city. I think we're going to have to vet whatever persons that we need to go through that process. So I think that we look at what the top two here, and then we'll also talk about, Doug and I can talk about these people, get their credentials, make sure that everything's, background's good, and that kind of processing, and then go from there. You have anything to go?
For a background check, other than getting diplomas and things of that nature, educational, we would have to have them sign a form. So I would prefer if it was the final person that would do that for the background check, and then we can have an alternate. But really hard to run a background on somebody we haven't offered a job to yet, other than education experience to verify all that stuff.
Yeah.
Eligibility for rehire.
I think we need to do that. I think that we're all on the same page here, personally.
I don't even think.
I think
There was only one person
I
that
think-
knew the lingo, knew what she
Yeah.
was talking
Yeah,
about.
I think so too.
there was only one person that was, I feel, that was really qualified.
I
What-
think so too.
This is the 7th time I've been a part of a finance director hiring. I helped at Apalachicola, was a council member in Minnesota, I helped here. Miss Lucas
Yeah.
is the best candidate I've ever interviewed in a city finance director interview of 7 rounds.
It wasn't really
I think
close.
so too.
I mean,
The last one wasn't even in your field.
Yeah, she would've never-
Just, customarily, in the past, the hiring of this position has not come to council. That's not been customary. Debbie was brought in by Mr. Kathy and Mario. I never seen it come to the council.
That's incorrect.
I looked, I didn't find anything, and I couldn't find any evidence that we had any interviews such as this in the past. So,
I was hired under this process.
you what?
I was hired in this process.
Yeah, that's the city clerk, but I'm saying as a separate employee director, because this falls a little bit different than, contract employee falls a little bit different than a full-time employee would.
I don't think it's not a contract employee, it's either a
Contract.
contractor or an employee.
Employee. And this is contract, so ultimately I have to sign the contract, so
Council
But
approved
I
all
really-
contracts, did I not?
Yeah, it gets brought to council for approval.
do y'all want to
I do.
go forward
I'd like
with
to go with
Miss
Miss Lucas.
Lucas?
I don't know how we can do that, but
I
let's
think
just
we're
go
good.
ahead.
Make a
That's how I
motion.
want to do
I'll make
it.
a motion that we go ahead and,
If y'all can let me, please, let's try to stay in order and let the chair call for the motion so that we can do it in the correct manner. So I'll call for the motion. The council doesn't normally do that.
say the same thing I just said.
Please.
I have a motion that we go ahead and pursue Miss Lucas, Michelle Lucas, as our candidate.
I second.
Okay. I got a motion and a second to move forward to looking at Ms. Lucas's credentials and possible hiring. Okay. Call the vote.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Welly,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Call for a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, ma'am, can I add one thing before you adjourn? Sorry, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, I just said, just a couple things. We had talked earlier in the beginning of the meeting about maybe pursuing, looking at a firm versus an individual. What are our next steps there? Are we gonna do something now, or we put that on the agenda? Where will we go with this?
I think we'll put it on a future agenda. We can take it.
Well, it's budget time, so I don't think we're going, I believe we're going to have to
Right
go
now, we
budget.
just need to concentrate on one thing.
Find it.
Okay.
I just had something I'd like to add, if it's okay with you.
Yes, sir.
Sure. If you could pass those around for me, sir. I just have a brief announcement. Thank you guys for this opportunity to speak this evening, Mayor and City Council. I come to you with a heavy heart, as today I must tender my resignation as the City Administrator for the City of Mexico Beach. My contract requires a 30-day notice, and I have written effective date today. My last day with the City of Mexico Beach will be Wednesday, July the 19th. I want to take this time to thank the residents, the council, both current and past, and most of the city employees, most of all the city employees, excuse me. During my time at the City of Mexico Beach, your employees have stepped up beyond all recognition. They truly love the city and everything it has to offer. You should be proud to have each one of them on your team. To the residents and supporters of Mexico Beach, All that I've achieved together has been truly amazing. I've enjoyed my time here. You've allowed me to grow as a city administrator and provide my family with a wonderful atmosphere to work. Indeed. I'll begin working on a transition plan with the Assistant City Administrator, Michael Manning, for City Council consideration at the next meeting. Excuse me. I believe that I'm leaving the city in a far better place than it was when I arrived, both financially and physically. We've truly built an amazing city geared towards thriving rather than surviving here in Mexico Beach. I will absolutely miss each of you and wish you the very best. Should you need anything during my final 30 days, please do not hesitate to reach out to me or stop by and see me. Thank you. I have given the clerk a copy of my resignation just before this meeting, and I do appreciate it. I mean everything that I said in here. And thank you guys for allowing me to grow here. That's all I have.
I will say that I hate to hear that you're resigning, Mr. Baber. You have done a wonderful job. You've come in and you've really helped Mexico Beach to get where it is today in the past almost 2 years that you've been here.
Yes, ma'am.
And we do appreciate all your hard work. You're always very responsive to the residents and to the employees and I think to the council. And we will miss you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody else would like to address?
So Doug, can you share where you're gonna go, or will you still be here locally?
I accepted a position with the City of Crystal River as a city manager. I'll be starting there later this summer. I would appreciate it if you guys could just let my family go through this process, and I appreciate everything.
Thanks, Tom.
Change your mind.
So today's is one.
Can I say something? I'm sure I probably ain't supposed to, but I just want to say, since I've lived here in 8 years, Doug has been the most dedicated city administrator we've had. There's not been one single one, except for maybe one, that even come close. He has been so present and so active, and I really hate to see you go, Doug, but honestly, as a person, as a parent, as a spouse, I can understand it. Because I don't know that I could have sat where you sat and took what you took. I don't know that I could have done it. So my hat's off to you that you've done it as long as you could. I feel for your wife. I feel for your kids and the crap they've had to hear on TV and everything else, and I hate it. But I appreciate everything you've done for our city and all your hard work and dedication.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like
Your
to move,
Facebook post.
motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
And so